Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since I filmed. I've just been really busy with my business and trying to adjust on how to run things during the pandemic because there are no craft fairs. So I'm really trying to up my game on my live sales and my Facebook page and my website. So that's what I've been really busy making, and I have had a lot of people ask me about my live sales and how I get them to so many people and just everything I do, because there are a lot of people panicking about there not being a Christmas season for the fairs, and I totally understand that. Now, I've done live sales I've had my business since 2015, so since I was 15 I had it, but I did not take it really. For the most part, I was really only doing craft fairs and pickups. And about 2 years ago, it was actually right before I went to college, that's when I started the live sales, and it was a rocky start, but I didn't put that much research and thought into it when I first started the videos, because I honestly thought it was really simple, but surprisingly there's a lot more that goes into it that you really don't think of. So once I started researching and taking my sales seriously, I saw my sales skyrocketed, and now I do put more in the videos. Now, my old lives, it was very discouraging for me because I was never organized for the sale, and that took me a while, because since I was never organized, I never wanted to do the sales because I knew that there was so much work to do after the sale. Because my thing was, at first, I never, I have the number cards now, but when I first started, I didn't have number cards, so I just told people what to claim, and I'd be like, oh, if you want this, just claim it. But it gets tough when people are like, oh, I want the pink bow, the pink and white bow, and it's well, I had 8 in the video, and then you have to wait for them to respond, and then it just draws out the process. And I also used to take orders. I know some people, they still take orders in a live sale, but I do not do that anymore, because now I can, I do have a live sale tonight, this Thursday. I have one tonight, so people they'll claim tonight, tomorrow morning, because I post anything that doesn't sell the next morning for someone who had to leave the sale early, they missed the sale, or they came in late, anything. I post them again the next morning, and as soon as they're paid, I just ship them out, because I only put things already made in my live sales. That's what's easiest for me. I know there's some things that you just can't pre-make depending on what you make. I don't know if I said this already, but hair bows, when I make them, what I do is, when I get the leather, I call this a 3-layer, and I call this a 4-layer. I do have other styles, but right now these are the newest ones that I launched, and they're the most popular currently. So these are the main ones that I put in my sales. So pretend that these are both the same print. I will make one in the 3-layer, and I will make one in the 4-layer for live sales. So it's some things I do make specifically for live sales depending on when I got the material in, but sometimes, actually, because I do have a lot of bows that are new to me selling, but I've had the material for a while and I just never went through my stuff. So for me, live sales are a great way to clear inventory, because and make extra money rather than, because when I first said at the beginning of quarantine, I was doing the live sales to get rid of, I overmade, because when first quarantine was supposed to be 2 weeks long, I took those 2 weeks and I made so much, because I was like, you know what, I'll get ahead for the Christmas season. And now that this is lasting longer than 2 weeks and there's no Christmas season, once they canceled the fairs for the rest of the year, I started selling more lives. So I was like, okay, I overmade, because when I do craft fairs, I usually will do my summer ones. I usually do 4 big ones. So I think the first week I made 400 bows. I went through all of my material, down to the scraps, everything. I was like, I'll make, and then, because that was my thing, I was like, okay, I will be set for the rest of the year. And then once they were canceled. I was like, okay, now I don't have any room in my craft room because I am in like the basement. So, because for the most part, my shelves are supplies, and then everything turned into product, and it's like, okay, I have to sell it. So that I went back to my live sales. So I didn't actually have my first live sale wasn't until the beginning of quarantine, just because I wanted to focus on the craft fairs, because prior to quarantine I always did my lives. I would show a bow and I'd be like, okay, I can make 5 of these, and then there would be people that would order all 5, and I'd have to go back and I'd have to make those 4 or whatever, aside from the one that I showed. And for me, that was so much work, because I'd be like, it's like, great, okay, I sold everything, but now you have to make everything. Whereas now I go from my inventory, if that makes sense. So I sell stuff that's already made. So when I do my live sales, I always say that I only have one of each. So like this would be the 3-layer Cinderella, because it is Cinderella. I only have one of this one. And then pretend this is the 4-layer Cinderella. I'll say I have another Cinderella, but in 4 layers. So I still only have one of each. But for me, it keeps me sane, where I can just ship them out the next day, rather than I have to go back, I have to write down everybody's orders, and then be like, okay, well, I have to make this one, I have to make that one. It's just easier to sell pre-made stuff. And then I make an answer key. This is actually something I just started to do at the beginning of quarantine. This is really when my sales like took off. Because I've always been doing live sales, but I kind of was like in and out with them, because I was always too busy to be on a consistent live sale schedule, because like I said before, I was selling them before I made them, so I had to go back and make them. Whereas live sales, for me it's easier to clear inventory through a live sale. So now they're a lot easier for me to do, because I never used to want to do live sales before because of how much work that would have to go into them. But once I really started organizing, I was like, I do live sales the first and third Tuesday of every single month. That's just my routine. And actually today, I don't even know if today's the third Thursday, but I was like thrown off with being sick one of the weeks. But now that I make this is my answer key. So I have a notebook that's just live sales, like previous live sales. I actually lost it, and I'm panicking because I lost it while I was going through orders for my last live sale. But see, I have like I have the description, then I have the number card, so I pre-number my cards for the live sale, and then I have them all on here. So I do it for myself, because when people claim, I just say, okay, you claim by the number card that I give you. Like, now they're double-sided. For one side I can see, one side the customer can see. And so say when someone claims 153, now I only know there's only 153, because now the whole sale I'm only making one of each bow. So there's no, oh, let me go check if I can make you another one. It's easier just for live sales. Now I will have the material like left over a lot of times, but I'll either post them just on my Facebook in between lives, or I save it for the next live and I do the same thing. It may be the same print as the live sale before, but I still only have one in this live sale because it sold in the last live sale. So it's easier for me to do it that way. And I feel the next day I can really, like, my turnaround after a live sale is usually, my shipping is determined on when you pay, because when I do the live sales, I always have help. So I do I film and I have my notebook. I do this more for whoever's helping me on like the next day when we do have to pull things. So if someone, oh sorry, I need a little bit of water. So if someone claims, because the way I show them, I'll be like, okay, this is number 153. And they'll claim it. And now, I can't tell if this is backwards for me. I'm sorry if it is. But if someone claims, because on the live sale, you can see people commenting on the bottom. Say if Mary comments for 153, I take 153, I put it to the side, and now I do have the helper behind that will take it and then put it in a pile for Mary. So there's no sorting So every time someone comments, and they're all in different separate piles on the floor labeled with sticky notes. So at the end of the live, if they already gave me their email, I just take and I invoice them for those bows, because the order is already, all I have to do is count up the bows that they had. So I know a lot of people were asking me about how I am able to keep up with live sales, and that's one of the things, 'cause I do get a lot of people like, well, you sell a lot of stuff in your lives, but I'm not taking orders. Now, if someone really wants the bow, I will usually tell them to PM me after, because if I do have the material, just because it's easier. If I have really bad memories, so I tell everyone to PM me if like they really want it. So they'll PM me, and if they do end up PMing me, then I will say if they wanted another one like this and I had the material, I would sell it to them separately. So I do that way, and that was the biggest thing for me for live sales, was I was so disorganized. Because the next day I would have to rewatch the live, because before I started doing my answer key, I would do the numbers, because I'd be like, okay, it's just easier, people claim numbers, but I used to do them by myself. So I would have a claimed pile and an unclaimed pile, but then I had to sort the piles out at the end of the night, and it's like, okay, well, they ordered 153. Wait, was I holding up 135 the whole time? Oh, sorry, I'm actually dyslexic, so I thought this was 153, but it's not. So now I would hold up the numbers, and then they would comment, so that part was correct. But then after the live sale, it's like, well, I don't remember what 153 was. So I had to go back and rewatch the live to find out what my 153 was. And that was, to me, that's what made me not want to do live sales. So organization is, you need a game plan going in, which I didn't have it at the beginning, because I never wanted to do my live sales. So that was the biggest, I'm not camera shy or anything. I like talking, but that was my biggest, the organization is what killed me. I never wanted to do, because then it would drain me for 3 days after, because I'd have to rewatch the live. And then now people, they would remember what they'd write down. It's actually smart that customers, they will write down what numbers they claimed. And I love that. Now that I have my answer key, because they'll be like, okay, here are the 5 numbers I claimed. I go in the notebook, I pull them out, and I'm like, okay, here's your order. I take a picture of it, send it to them, they give me their email, they pay the invoice, and I ship it right after that. And all I have to do is package it up and put a label on it, and bam, out. To me, it's just as quick as somebody coming in to buy, if that makes any sense. So that's my biggest, that's the first main thing, is organization. And now that's something that I learned all my organization on my own when I did go and research other people's videos on how to do live sales or tips or anything for the live sales. That was not something mentioned, and because it would overwhelm me. I would get so anxious. I'd be like, I can't, it would take me forever to try and find what number was what, and I would get so anxious. So once I started the notebook, I did this on my own. So I came up with this idea on myself, and I love it. It's so clever, because now my turnaround's even faster. So I do put more, I put more bows in a video. Because say, whoever my helper is, they'll oh, sorry, I need some more water. My throat's been so scratchy lately. So I have my live sale answer key, and then my helper, it's usually one of my friends. It used to be my mom, but she kind of gets wiped from them. But now she would write the name. So say if you would have Mary Jo commented 153, 142, 77, their name would be there, and then the 3 numbers. So then the next morning, it's more of a double check to see if my notebook matches the piles that I made, that one of my helpers made at night. And that is one of the, that I remember getting people that would comment on my lives. They'd be very rude, because you could tell it was as I was learning. And now that I have everything kind of in place, I'd have people, they'd be like, oh, well, your boring's background. Your background's boring, or they'd say, oh, your background's boring, or because I used to do them in my house. So when I really got serious into them, it was when I came home for school. Now I would have class, because I only had class because it was community school. I only had class 2 days. I'd go 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I'd come home, I'd change. Well, actually it'd be after the gym. So I'd shower, I'd change, and I'd be in my pajamas. And I would do my live sales in my pajamas. Because I used to start them at 9 o'clock. Now I start them at 8 o'clock. Just because it gives me a little more time. Because I would end the lives just solely because I was too tired. Not because they were too long or anything. So I did have to change my time. But I found before I did my notebook and stuff, because I can do the live sales stress-free now, because when I used to do them, that's all I thought about was the stress that came after the live, was who ordered what, or especially when people want to switch bows, when they're like, okay, can I switch this number? Because they usually will switch, if they see the 3-layer and then the 4-layer in the same print, they'll usually switch those two. And now it's so much easier for me to just go to the notebook, and I'd be like, okay, like no problem. Whereas before I'd have to watch the video, and now the video would be like 2 hours, and I'd be like, okay, like I just sit here, and I would try and get everyone down. But then I remember the Facebook live comments, if you had an X amount of people that would comment on the live, they'd go out of order. So they wouldn't match up to where their comment came up and then the actual spot they commented, which annoyed me. So once I did the notebook, that was my biggest thing. I mean, there's also, like, obviously, like, I'll still give you guys more tips, but that's one of the biggest things, is a lot of people think that live sales, you just sell and you're done. I rather would take the prep work rather than the post work after the sale, because it is easier for me to just pre-number. So, like, this is everything. I already know it's going to be in the live. Like, I'm not saying them in the order, like, they'll be in a pile. But these are all the boats that are going to be in the live. And now when I do the sale, it's like, okay, yes, I come back tomorrow to, go do the live sale. But I know who ordered what. And especially if people are like, oh, I didn't order, this isn't the one that I ordered. And then I go back by number. And I'd be like, well, you ordered 123, and that was a Target bow. You claimed 123, that's Target, rather than I find also for me that I don't mix them up when I do that by number. It's really easy to have an answer key. And the other little things for me, like through my live sales, that I guess I kind of did them naturally, was, now these bows, they're normally $6 each. $6 each, or 4 for $20. Now, I know a lot of people, they do tell me that these are cheap. I know, but I don't know. It's usually only when I'm talking that I have a scratchy throat. So, these are $6 each, or 4 for $20. And this is like my presentation on the card. Now, this is actually like a smart idea. If you do have something that you can display on a card, I have it in a bow card and my business card in one. So all my information is already on the bottom of the card, which is nice and convenient. And it's also it's not another fee that I have to pay for business cards, if that makes sense. So what I do is a deal in the lives. I do them, they're either $6 each, but if you buy 4 or more, they're all $5 each. So you don't have to get like 8 of them to hit the sale price. Say if you wanted 6, you'll still get them honored at the $5, like the $5 each. I offer free shipping on orders usually over 40. Now, a lot of the stuff in the live is actually stuff that I'm usually trying to get rid of, or materials I've actually forgotten about in my craft room. So I don't really have to worry about, I know people don't think of it the same way, but like I cover my cost for, like, say if I get 4 bows out of like a print and then a color, like I can get that out of a normal sheet. But if I just make one bow or sell that one bow from that sheet, I made the money back for the clips for all 4 and all the material for all 4. So if I'm trying to get rid of bows in the live sale, I usually will lower them like a little bit more, just because, you know, I already made my money back for the supplies to make all 4 of them on the first one. I don't know if that makes sense for some people, but I am willing to go a little lower, especially if I really want to get rid of this stuff. And also, it's an incentive, I feel, when you lower the prices, that people will buy in the live sales. I know I used to keep my prices the same, but I found once I lowered the price, people like, okay, like this is the only time I can get, because I used to do my sale prices at the craft fairs, but for my live sales, since they literally go all over the country, I would get people that they're from Ohio, Michigan, I had Alaska, I did have a Hawaii, and they're not going to be able to get that sale price because realistically they're probably never ever going to be at a craft fair that I'm at. So now I do it kind of backwards, where the live sale is like my sale price, just kind of to get a little incentive. And that's one of, you have to be confident. I know that was the biggest thing, where at first I didn't know what to say, because I have no problems with talking. I don't know if you couldn't tell, I have no problems with talking, but it was more of what was I gonna say, or where to cut off. And definitely when you do get comments, because you get them on the screen and then everyone sees how you react to them. So I have gotten a lot of mean comments, and you like have to be like straight faced. A lot of them, there was one woman I had issues with where she was, and yes, there is criticism, but she was more attacking my appearance, and she would just log in on every video just to critique. She would tell me, oh, why isn't your hair done? Why isn't your makeup done? Why are you in your pajamas? Your background's not professional. And in a way, you know, I was like, well, I'm coming home from school after a 12-hour school day and then going to do a live sale, and it's 9 o'clock at night. I'm not going to put I don't even do full face makeup. That's literally all. This is like I did my makeup this morning for the live sale tonight. Literally just mascara. That's my definition of makeup. But I don't know, like that's me. Like if you log into my live sale, I feel you can tell, like some people just feel comfortable when you're in the live sale. I have watched a lot of other jewelry people where they don't feel comfortable in their live sales, but after a while you do get customers that come back, or the customers will communicate with each other in the video, and you can tell like in the comment section. And then it's more of, it's nice. It's like you can tell that like I ease up in this, like in the video, and like that's just not me. Like I know a lot of people, they tell me, they're like, well, you know, you own a business, you have to be professional. But this is me. You know, I started my business at 15. There was nothing professional about that. You know, I'm 20 and I still have a lot of things that my mom needs to help me with, because I don't understand the taxes or my insurance. There's like, that's me. And in the live sale, you can tell when I'm not bringing my personality. And that's a big thing in the live sales, is the customers will be able to tell if you're not using your normal personality. And that does take a while to get used to. I know my first 2, I definitely was scared. But mine was more of, I didn't have confidence in, because of my age, to my customers, if that makes sense. Because a lot of people still viewed me as a kid. So I was like, I don't know how, like, they're supposed to take me seriously in this live if they, you know, and they still think I'm a kid. And that's one of the things, is if you're confident and you're in your zone, your customers can tell. And you will get those random people that they will log on, they'll make like a nasty comment. I usually, honestly, that's all. Usually when I have my helper, usually my mom, I always had my mom would handle those mean comments in the comment section, because it would be disrupting like me trying to sell stuff, because I would try and go on as normal, and then they would comment that rude thing. They're like, my customers try and like protect me, and I'm like, well, you know, like, let's just ignore it. And then, but the people want attention. So that's definitely one of the things that you have to, that wasn't something I was expecting actually at all, to be getting random people logging on. Because it's kind of like, because in my description box, I do handmade hair bows in there. So you know what you're getting before you click on the video. And it's just absurd how people log on just to say something rude and then leave. It's like, what's, like, you don't have anything better to do. So that's kind of like off tangent. That's definitely off tangent. I know that's probably not, like, that was my issue when I was doing the lifestyles, was I didn't really have confidence in myself, but now I do have confidence in myself, and I actually like teaching other people like these things, because I was always afraid no one would take me seriously, and now there's people that take me seriously. I'm like, you know what, like, I want to teach other people. So that is one of my lifestyle, that is one of, I'll probably do like a shorter lifestyle video. I'll probably just kind of list and not go into depth, because I did want to go really into depth with my organization, because that for me will make or break a lifestyle. Because that was always my issue, was I'd be like, okay, I'm not getting any sales. But then when I look back at the video, you could see that I was tense. You could see that I was already dreading all the work that would go in after the video. And that always worried me so much. And now, since I don't have that, you can just tell that I'm literally just sitting there and selling. And it's so much easier when all you have to do is package and ship. I love it. So anyway, I'm actually getting a Facebook notification, but my next video will probably be a difference between a Facebook group and a Facebook page. I have had a lot of people ask me about that one. And that's actually my favorite topic to talk about, is the Facebook business page. So I hope you guys like this video. If you have any more questions, I will make another one. I know this one's a little bit longer, but this is more of like my experience, and I didn't go into touch with like the little details, like the background, your voice, like what you're wearing or anything, but I will do that in a shorter video. So thank you so much for watching, and please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and you guys can see me in my next video.